Are we ready? I know I am. So, whether or not you are, it's time for another episode of the Indie Tales Game Dev Livestream. Hey, my name is Adam. You are the Pixel Pals. I've already said the name of the show, so without further ado, it's time to go. Coming at you live on Twitch and YouTube today for the second day in a row. Today, we're going to be working on some more Insignia, of course. I want to say a big welcome to everybody who's here in chat already. Thank you so much for joining us. So yeah, doing more work on the alpha. We haven't had too much of a change in the code since yesterday. So for those of you who are kind of following along with where things are at with the alpha, you won't be too far behind. I will show you what I've been working on, but first I want to say a big thank you to C-Comment for the most recent subscription on Twitch, and Rafon for the most recent follow. Okay, so shall we just jump straight into it? I think so. I've got this. So from the top, basically, what's happening right now is I have discovered a bug, or we discovered a bug yesterday, that there is some kind of a disparity between how the game calculates like friction between the editor version and the WebGL version. So on WebGL, which is where the actual game for the alpha is being hosted, for some reason, everything gets a bit more slippery. So I'm trying to debug that today. You can see here I've got this little bar, which is like a health bar, but I'm using it to test the velocity of the character. And what we're going to do is try to also test like the friction. So when friction is being applied, that's what we're going to be trying to do. Hey Bruno Gomez, thank you so much for joining us. Oh, thank you so much. Much appreciated. Hey Undead Alex. How's it going? So I also added some of these prompts. So for those of you who have not been playing the alpha or who tried to play yesterday and had a bit of trouble, I'm removing some barriers to getting into the alpha. So the first one is actually the controls. That's super important. I do have controller support in the game, and the controllers, like the prompts do change when you pick up a controller. So if I use the keyboard, you see keyboard buttons. If I use a controller, you see controller inputs. And they just appear where you need them. So hopefully you'll be able to learn the controls of the game just by running around through the game. That's the hope. And this test is mostly there to kind of just make sure that the players are understanding like how the game works, and that getting familiar with those controls is relatively straightforward. So we're going to be basically just focusing on movement code today, and just the way that the game's movement experience works. This is the alpha. It's just one room, and then when you kind of escape the room, then you can continue. Why is jumping on Z? Because that's how 2D games work. If you're a classic gamer like me, Z, X, and C are the action buttons. Okay. So far, it's looking okay. Any missing features like physics? No, I mean like it works, it's just working differently. So it's not like players are floating away. It's more like on the WebGL version, the speed at which friction is applied seems to be less somehow. So I've got code that manages the friction myself. So that code, for whatever reason, seems like it's running less often. So we're going to try to solve that. And then we're going to do some other things. So another major thing is the exit. So this exit door breaks the game right now because it doesn't go anywhere. But where it's going to go is back to the, kind of to like a scene that's like a thank you for playing scene. And a link to a forum, a form, which is this, where you will give some feedback on the thing that you just played. That's the idea. So we should be able to set that up today. It shouldn't be too bad. But yeah, really important for me first that I figure out kind of how this thing is supposed to work. So this is just outputting the velocity of the player character on the x-axis right now. That's not quite right. What we really want is like I don't even think we need like a bar for this. It's more like when the player character stops moving, I want to know. The game looked too generic, no X factor. Okay, can I say something? This is a movement test in an alpha scene for the game. This isn't the game. This isn't a level that you can play in the game. This is just a room to help you get familiar with the controls so that we can test the movement in the game. I hope that there is more that attracts you to the game than this, because I've been working for 7 years on it, but it's not for everyone either, so it's all good. If you're looking for an X factor, you might be waiting for a trailer. Maybe that would be a better chance to show you what the game is about. So, let's figure out what we're doing here. So what I think is the right test, rather than just outputting the velocity, I think what we want to do is capture from the time when the friction starts being applied until the velocity is 0. How many frames did it take to get to 0? How much time did it take to get to 0? So what's important here is that we're trying to narrow down basically the potential gap here between frame rate and friction application. So I'm not sure 100% yet. like, what's the problem? So it's more of a debug question. And I guess, like, we could just paste this in like a text box above the player's head for the most part. So like public text, and I guess we'd go using Unity engine.ui. That should be good enough. Cool. So the two things we want to grab are, well, in self-control, self-awareness, we have this time since ground friction applied and time at ground friction applied. I don't think we're quite there yet. Time at ground friction applied is here. So it's during this. I basically want to inject here and find like what we want to do. Okay, see ya, undead. So it's going to be like this. Record friction changes. Okay. So the idea would be, actually, let's just jump back for a second. Okay. So this happened every frame. Yeah, that's right. They moved to WebGLs just for alpha testing, which is a little bit frustrating because I don't really care about it as a platform. It's not how I'm going to distribute the game. So it's like, it's just a hurdle right now that it behaves differently on WebGL. It's not got anything to do with the game that I'm making or anything like that. It's just like, oh, this is the easiest way for people to get into the game without having to download or install something, and for me to update the game on a basis that's like really, really high rate, high turnaround. So we're using CI/CD to basically every 5 minutes or so update a new version of the game as I'm working on it, so that here on Twitch you guys can, well, and YouTube now, here on stream you guys can enjoy what I'm doing and give me feedback in real time. Yeah, Yunus is an Arabic name. My family is from Lebanon. Harbor Gumdrop says, I was just wondering what your process is for low motivation, like a hard wall. That's a good question. Typically, like with this game, I'm finding that there's a lot to do. Right? So there's always something to do. And when I feel a little bit burnt out on a specific task, I go and do something else. I just leave that task and go find out. And typically, the reason why I'm having trouble with a task is because there's some sort of decision that I haven't made that would be made with some other task. So like if I'm doing a character and I'm like, man, I don't know how to make this character look interesting. It's like, well, maybe I haven't written the story for that character yet. And maybe I should be going and writing their backstory and thinking about the kinds of things that they do in their day-to-day life, the kinds of things they would have on their character, right? And that might inform the sprite a little bit better and I wouldn't be so stuck, you know? So typically getting stuck is like, happens because there are unfinished or unanswered questions that are outside of the task that you're trying to do right now, but that the task you're doing right now depends on. Other things I would just flag. If you're having like a lot of trouble with motivation, one question would be like, do you like game design and game development? Like, are you actually enjoying the thing? It might not be for you. And the second one is, are you getting enough sleep? And are you eating well? Are you exercising? You can't force yourself to be, you know, productive. And it's not always in your control when you're sitting at the desk to just output work. Sometimes like you just need a break, you know? So that's my advice for you. So the idea here would be, I guess at the point where we change the friction, it's probably more important that we do this. So maybe this isn't its own function. Maybe this needs to be something that we do here. It'd be nice to compartmentalize it, but I actually don't know if we can because I need this line of code. So what's the first time I started game dev? I started game dev. I was kind of playing around with ideas for game development in like 2008. Like I was like 15, 16, just kind of like getting into it. As kids, like me and my friends wanted to like make games. We would like make fake Yu-Gi-Oh cards and stuff. And then I wasn't really programming games until maybe like university. So like 2010 for me. I'm from Australia. Do I ever create a GDD? Yeah, no, I do for sure. Well, you know, I started with like a moleskin journal, and I would just draw sketches and stuff. And I'm like, this is my GDD. That was like all pre-production stuff though. It was like concept character sketches and stuff and environments. And then it was like OneNote is my GDD. It's just like a bunch of notes that I have in Microsoft OneNote. And then it was like, well, I changed to like Leonardo, which is like a big canvas, kind of like this. And I was like, Leonardo's my GDD. And now I used Figma, and now Figma is my GDD. This is probably the closest thing to like a real GDD in terms of like being an actual Bible for the design decisions that the game is built on top of. I can track everything I've done in the last year, decision-wise, to this. It's probably too verbose. It's more like a working document. It's probably beyond a GDD at this point. But if someone was to ask a question about a specific feature, they would find the rationale for that feature here. Figma it's actually a UI design application, but it's so powerful that I use it for just tracking notes and drawing diagrams and just deciding things. Is it public? No, this document isn't public. I even have, like, check this out. Watch this. I even have a story document in Figma. Check this out. Chapter 1. This is literally all of the main quest line dialogue in chapter 1. So it's like, home. This is the cutscene. This is the cutscene dialogue. Workshop. This is literally the dialogue in the game. Chapter 1 is pretty linear, so it's like you can literally just zoom in and be like, see what the characters say. And I actually import the dialogue by literally copying and pasting this into my editor. Sort of, I wrote the synopsis before development, and I'm writing the dialogue during development. So I'll get to a certain point in the game, and I'll be like, okay, these people need to have a conversation. I know what they need to say in the conversation, but I don't know the exact words. In that moment, I'll type it out, because a lot of the time, you know, good dialogue, it needs to be paced with the player's attention span. And if the players just come from this like long exploration zone, maybe they've got a lot of appetite for dialogue, but if they've just come from a quest or they've just walked through a city and talked to a bunch of people, maybe they're not interested. So I try to play test the dialogue in the context as I'm writing it. And oftentimes I write too much and then I try to strip it back. So the dialogue system in the game, really, just so that you can get an idea about how this works. These are my dialogue files. And you can see here, this is the script. So like Rose says, I'll take care of it now. Armin says, thanks, Mum. That is actually imported from basically, hang on. Hot Reload is doing some stuff. It's recompiling because I made some code changes. Give it a second. So anyway, how was everyone's weekend? Yeah, so what it'll do is it'll actually, the system that I wrote can read and write in like a script format that's just plain text. So I can write some plain text and it will, you know, I can say like, Rose. Hang on a second. Like, Rose. Hello, son. Armin. Hi, mom. Right. I can do that. Or whatever. And then I can take it and paste it here. And then I can literally import that and it gets added to the dialogue. So it'll automatically create the objects based on what I wrote. Or I can also export the text and then paste it into here just to keep track of what I wrote. So it's not ideal to have the game be this way like long term once there's like alternate languages and stuff supported for the game. But for now, while I'm working on it, it's pretty flexible for me to just do it this way. I also, just so that we don't, just while we're on the topic, I also have a system that lets me paste these little prompts into a timeline and sync it up with like camera movements and stuff. Am I affected by the Unity drama? Minimally, not a super amount. So we've got like a cutscene here, and you can see we've got all these little boxes. These relate directly to these boxes here. So I can actually place them on the timeline and be like, okay, like, you know, we walk up into the scene. This guy's talking to us. We press continue, the dialogue continues. We finish there, the camera shifts down. Characters are talking back and forth. Camera's moving. And the camera is being managed down here between the dialogue. Oh, I must have clicked off the screen. So it's pretty good. That's how I manage the game. But you asked about GDDs. I went on a rant about Figma and my dialogue system. So I'll move back on. Yeah, I mean the state of translation is changing very rapidly, and maybe in like a year, by the time this game comes out, it'll be fine to just use GPT to do it. That's pretty insane. Like I'd never even considered that, but the world we live in, huh? All right, so let's come back to the script here. So we want to see if the current velocity, so it's actually just like character.velx, I think is velocity is what I call it. So if let's just have a think for a second. Character.velocity dot x, and I want the mathf.absolute value of this. And I want to know if this absvel equals this, and then this happens, and then I want to say, call this prev, and then float absvel equals sample the same thing basically. And then if mathf.absolute is greater than that, then we've applied some difference. We've applied something, right? So whisper.cpp. Right. Hey Dingus, how's it going? How many pixel size do you use? For the character or for the screen? For the screen, it's 640 by 360. For characters, my main character is about 50 pixels tall. Hey Kyle, how's it going? Do I plan on adding any normal maps to my sprites? Not for this game. That's not in the plan. There's just too many sprites. How often do I stream? 5 days a week. Weekdays. So, what I want to do is so let's just like for now debug.log recording. I'm gonna get there. It's a little bit roundabout, but so when I'm running, it shouldn't do anything. And then right as I skid to a stop, it should have some data for us. Yeah. So there. 0.9, 0.5, 0.3, 0.1, 0.1. That's pretty good. The thing is though, I wanted this value, and I only want to do this if recording. Copilot was a little bit over the top there. So, and then what have we got here? 8, 4, 2, 1. That was 4 frames. 5 frames. It took 5 frames to skid to a stop for Armin. 8, 4, 2, 1, 0. I'm using C#. So I wouldn't be using AI inside the game. I'd be using AI as a content creation tool for localization. That's what we're describing. So the idea would be that all of the text is hard-coded into the game for all the different languages. By the time the game is released, that would be how I would do it. I wouldn't use it inside of the game. No GPT there. So wish lists, we are like a month away from having a Steam page. Very close, but not quite yet. For a Steam page, I want to have like a trailer, and for a trailer, I need to be producing a bit more polish on some of the assets that are going to be kind of central to the game. So the combat sort of flow and enemies. I want to give you a nice smorgasbord of like different examples of what's happening in the game to go into the trailer. And to do that, there's a little bit of polish that needs to be done. So close, but not just yet. Okay. So 5 frames, huh? So the other thing I want to do is I want to track, I only want this to happen when recording is false, but previous recording is true. So here, we're going to go public bool prev recording, and then that's fine. So pre-recording equals, so hang on, apply ground friction. This happens not every single frame, but if we check, that should be happening. The pre-recording needs to happen every single frame. So now recording needs to be a global variable for the script. It can be internal, it's okay. Okay. So now it's actually if not recording and pre-recording. If recording, recorded frame count plus plus. Okay, and that's going to be another variable that we use here, so okay. This will take a little bit to recompile. Yeah, I think AI is pretty dangerous, to be honest, when it comes to content creation. There's too much weirdness around it, and it's so hard to like moderate it. Like, you just don't know what the thing's going to spit out. And then you have to ask, like, who is liable if the output of some AI is, you know, improper for whatever reason. It's too hard. And also sourced legally. Yeah, there's just so much in it. I think in the end, it'll be too palpable for people to turn down. There will be platforms that will allow AI games, and those will take off because, well, there's kind of a question there of like, I have this feeling like I've been seeing people play like Skyrim, for example, with AI, where the NPC dialogue is generated by ChatGPT. It's really exciting, right? It seems crazy cool. However, if I think about what that means for the player experience, it means that every player gets a different Skyrim. And if everyone gets a different Skyrim, can we all say that we had the same experience? You know what I mean? Like, it becomes harder to share and talk about experiences if there's an AI tailoring what your experience is to what it thinks you want. It's kind of like what's happening now with algorithms and social media. It's like everyone's getting their own little social media bubble that, you know, nobody else gets to see. It's super weird. Nah, but we're not talking about different play styles. We're talking about different spaces. So different play styles is fine, right? It's like, oh, you've got a play jungle gym, and there's a slippery dip, a slide, and there's some monkey bars, and there's a rock climbing wall. Okay, fine, everyone can do what they want, but at least we all saw the same thing and engaged in the same space. But if I go to the park and I see a slide, and you go to the park and you see a rock climbing wall, and someone else goes to the park and they see monkey bars, yeah, that's what we call slides, slippery dip. It's like, if we all see different things, we can't even say that we all went to the same park, right? It's like, how do we even talk about it? It's weird. Now, the other thing I want to do is is... Okay. What's the weird text color scheme you're going on? Vampire? It's called Ocean. I don't think it's weird. I really like it. Do I think that 8-bit music has a place in modern non-8-bit games? Oh, we're talking about something else, I guess. Hey, Castatatus. How's it going? So, I have to flip this. Same difference though. Okay. Now what I want is for that text to appear above our head. Is my last name C. Eunice? Interesting name of yes. Where are you from? No, my C is my middle name, and Eunice is my surname. Hey, amazing software. Of course. Okay, so we'll call this log text. All right, and then one more thing. Here we go. String log text. And then string get log text. And this should be get friction log text. Return log text. There you go. So now here over at the friction tester, all we really want is we don't even need the combat bar or anything. We just need a text box. And we just need to set the text in the text box to be the output of that dialogue. So text.text equals engine.armin.selfawareness.get friction log text. That's it. That's all we have to do. Okie dokie. So now we can delete all of this. Create a text component and plug it in. Sounds like an Arab name. It's from the Middle East, yes. Okay. Let's go text. Where is the regular text? Have I gotten rid of it? Legacy text. There we go. That's what we want. Just for now. That goes in there. And then I just want to see the text above his head. That's a little big. A little blurry, but I think... Okay, that'll do. How does it know what rendering layer it's going to be on? It's a canvas thing, right? So I think it's, if we go canvas group, that should give us a sorting layer. Nope. Canvas sorting. Sorting? Sorting group. There we go. And we'll put this on the character layer at 0. That's fine. And then come back here, go out there. There we go. It would be nice for it to be correctly oriented. So let's just go transform dot local scale equals new vector 3, and then we say engine dot almond dot local dot facing direction, facing right, 1, -1. That should fix that. Nice. Okay, that should be good enough now to check with the WebGL version. We're gonna find some stuff. We're gonna figure out what's going on. Still coding in mono game. You gotta have a scene editor. You gotta have one. Yeah, hot reload's actually insane. You saw that, right? I edited the code and then it just changed while the game was running. So good. Yukiduki says, I'm from North Africa myself. Glad to see a talented programmer streaming their craft. Even when it's 4 in the morning. Well, it's not 4 in the morning for me. That's the only thing. Yeah, hot reload is like, honestly, one of the best things I've ever invested in when it comes to Unity. Like currently, I'm spending more on hot reload than I am on Unity because I'm no longer using the pro version of Unity. They got rid of Unity Plus. So I don't have any reason to have a subscription to Unity because I don't make over $100,000. So I've spent 30 something on hot reload. Hey, William Bundy. Dude, I haven't seen you in so long. I was talking about you in chat the other day as like someone who used to be a regular in the stream, who was kind of like a mod for a while, many years ago. Wow, good to see ya. Is this Godot or just Unity? It's just Unity. Godot is great if you're making small games. That's my opinion. It's good. It's not like, it doesn't blow my mind. The first day of using it, I was like, this is great. But my second day of using it, I ran into a lot of game breaking things. Project breaking things. Like my project got corrupted during a game jam, which was not fun. So yesterday, just while we're waiting for this to compile, yesterday we made this guy. Look at this cool portrait we made. This was for a Clinker's redemption. So somebody, I think it was Eyes in chat, asked for a legendary pirate poster, or portrait. And I made this cool wanted poster. Yeah, I'm really happy about it. It's like a big monkey guy. Monkey pirate. So this is going to go in a pub in chapter 4. There's going to be a pub in every chapter. What's the currency? The currency in the game is called lollies. L-O-L-L-E-Y-S. L-O-L-L-E-Y-S, yeah. More than anything, I stopped using Twitch. Hey, it happens. Right now, we are currently streaming to about 300 people, and 50% of our viewership is on YouTube. And we only started streaming on YouTube yesterday. So somehow, you know, not somehow, but apparently 50% of the people who were interested in watching the stream were not Twitch users, right? Didn't want to use Twitch. So I'm very happy that we're able to reach more of you. I didn't even know it was possible. I spent all this time trying to get you guys to click on a link to go Oh no! Where's the debug gone? I put all that time into building it and it's gone. Oh. But it's right here. Wait, what? The current build target is set to WebGL control capability. Sure. What is why? What? That's got nothing to do with what I'm doing. Excuse me? What? Do you know what? It might just be because we've got this open. Nope. Okay, we broke something somehow. Let's try reloading the scene. I have a funny feeling about it. Do I pay for Figma? Not currently. Oh, okay, yeah, there you go. And this is part of the game, right? This is part of... It doesn't matter where I go, this should still operate the same way. I am here now. Okay, that works. Sorry, I've been missing the super chats because I don't have any way of catching the activity coming in from YouTube. How should I do that? I wonder if there's a way to pop that out. Oh, thank you so much. Do you know what? I'm just going to try that really quickly because I don't want to miss the YouTube chat. How will we do this? Pardon me. Can I pop it out? I can pop it out. Okay. Oh, Swizz. So I must have got that super chat through the correct channels. So maybe I don't need to do it. Should be okay. Adam cross streamer Eunice. The C stands for cross streamer. Okay. All right. So what the hell? Why didn't we see that text box? Do you know what? I'm going to push the game to itch, and we'll see if that fares any better. CI/CD, go. Is the text editor only? No, it's like in-game text. It's like an actual text component. It's not an editor text. This thing? No. That's like an actual text thing in the scene. Adding moving elements like falling leaves, rain, snowflakes. Hey Kyle, so what you were just looking at is a scene that's just being used for the alpha test? I'm using Git Actions, yeah. And it publishes to, like when I push from dev, it does an action using a workflow that deploys to itch.io. So yeah, falling leaves, all that stuff. That's super par for the course in this game. For sure. You know, I think a scene like I don't even know if I've got one on hand that like has all of the bells and whistles in it. But rest assured, we do have falling leaves in the game. I'm currently working on a scene like this. New tile set coming at ya. Is SceneGraph a Unity add-on? It's a custom plugin that I wrote. Why no Linux build? I don't plan on supporting the platform, but if enough demand is there, then maybe I will. To debug when building. Well, building through GitHub doesn't take that much time. If we want to check the actions, I can show you. It'll be done in about 10 minutes. Oh, that's okay, Jay Brown. It's all good. I'm not like, we're not, I'm not dependent on, you know, on that kind of stuff. It's all good. But I appreciate it, of course. Like anytime someone gives a shout out, I'm happy about it. But I don't need to like, we don't need to save it or anything. It's all good. Yeah, so here it is being deployed 3 minutes ago. We're building and then it'll deploy. And then it's happening. It's doing it right now. So it's building the project and then it'll do the rest of it. How am I drawing stuff inside my SceneGraph window? So SceneGraph is using Unity's Graph View library, which is not really open to developers. It's kind of a back-end feature that SceneGraph, that ShaderGraph uses. And I kind of did some jimmying and got into it and built an editor that uses that to basically just host a bunch of nodes that have ports in them. The ports are doors in each of the scenes, and the connections are literally the doors in the game. So I can drag one to the other and it does it, and then I just paste a screenshot of the scene, relatively the right size. And that helps me know, okay, like this door is actually here, but you know, same difference. So I just drag the door to the door. And I've just got some low res screenshots helping me map them. And then I just drag them around and save that. How many times have I redrawn my main character? Do you want to see? Lots of times. Was it a big hassle? It was a big hassle. And that's not all of them, actually. There are more sprites that aren't labeled Armin. For example, sword combo or whatever has Armin in it. But, or like ledge, get up, stuff like that. At least 5 times. At least 5 times. Yeah, so it was a hassle because there's no documentation for it. Hey, Debbie, thank you so much for the super chat. You're truly awesome and underrated. Recently found your channel again and enjoy learning about your workflow. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for your help, your patronage. So, how are we doing with this build? Still going. I think once that build works, assuming that the text shows up, which it should, we should be good to solve this problem with the friction. And then we can move on to the rest of the alpha flow. That'll be fun. So I should keep my wits about me in terms of like what it is I want to do today. Alpha test demo initiative. So I don't have this part of the flow yet. And I also don't have a way of making the doors, when you walk through them, do anything other than interact with scene graph. So this door here doesn't go anywhere, which means it's just going to throw an error. Maybe what I need is not a door, but like a finish flag, like just a Mario flag, you know? Yo, Jumped Up Die redeems focus mode. Oh, and thank you. I didn't see your subscription, but P Joy Jr. Thank you so much for your sub. So, focus mode. For those of you watching on YouTube, focus mode is something that you can redeem on Twitch to make me basically stop reading chat for a little while and do some work. Okay, so this door, it doesn't really need to be here. It just needs to be... It just needs to look like a door. What's currently happening? I don't really need for it to like... I don't need to extend the door script to make this thing do what it's supposed to do. I could probably just like turn it off and turn the box collider off. Or just turn the door off and put a different script on it that will do the same thing. In fact, if I leave it like that, what happens? If I just walk over here. Yeah, I just come out the other side. Cool. So... yeah, I have an IRL focus mode too. You know what it is? Just take my glasses off. I can't see shit. I can't talk to anybody across the room because I can't see them. That's my focus mode. I had a guy I used to work with who was deaf, and he used to turn his ears off when he was working. He'd literally just turn his ears off, and you'd be like, "Jono, hello?" And he's like, "Oh, hey." All right, how are we doing? We good? Not quite. We're 7 minutes in. It usually takes about 10. Okay, so the door. What are we going to do about this? We should have a script in there. I'm just going to write one, I guess, called like test end door. In a test end town, in a dead end world. East End boys and the test end doors. Test end doors. Test end doors. All right, scripts. Why when you try it and start a UI, it makes it super large? So, finishing focus mode now. That happens because the game engine, Unity, is not designed to make pixel art games. That's why. It makes them big, assuming you're making a big 3D game. And I guess bigger would be better than smaller. Thanks, Peachbug. That's what I'm here for. Ricky, thank you so much for the follow. Altora, thank you for the follow. Where did my testing scenes go? What did I just do? Testing scripts. Hello? Oh, okay, it's here. Sure. So, test indoors. Basically, it's going to be like on trigger enter. Void on trigger enter 2D. If other the game object. If I have this little thing I say engine dot is armin other dot game object. And I don't even need to do that, I can just say other. Then we enter the door. I guess at this point we just say like, how would we, okay, I need to know that we are in a test right now. Oh. Thanks, Ricky. Did I build scene graph? I did, I built it myself. On a whim. It took a little while. Hey, we finished. The build is ready. My VS Code theme, it's ocean. Material theme, ocean. Fingers crossed we see the debug text. If not, we gotta wait another 10 minutes. Or I have to try uploading it, or like running it locally. No! Why can't we see it? That's so lame. Lame. Okay, well, we go again. We go again, chat. I guess I could try using a not legacy text, instead using like Text Mesh Pro text. I probably should have just done that to begin with. I don't know why I was stubborn about it. Do-do-do. Do-do-do. This has got its own canvas, right? That's got a canvas. Canvas renderer. And then let's make this 16 pixels. The smaller height. And then here in the ground friction debug, we can say, rather than text, we can say using TM Pro. It might be Pro like that. And then TMP text, and then that's it. It's the same thing. It should be the same. Hey, Fatal Vampire, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome. My stream's going really well. We're currently simul-streaming Twitch and YouTube for the second time, and I'm really happy about it. Okay, so that should work. Looks good to me. So if I save it, I mean, we should be able to build it and run it and have it work. While we do this, maybe we can do something else here in the here in Sprite, because I don't really feel like just waiting for my game to do stuff. What can we work on? I would like to be working on maybe Armin's down air, or like directional air attacks. Yeah, like this frame. We could probably just start with this and just draw the frame that we want. Is the error coming up in WebGL? We'll find out. Falling leaves. Kyle, there are falling leaves in the game. They're just not in every scene. I don't need to make falling leaves. I'll show you, actually, if you really want to know. Falling leaf. There it is. Look at all these files. Falling leaf. Ace. Leaf? I think it's just called leaf ace. Okay, check this out. Look at this. Whoa! So you take that, and you make that just move down diagonally. Kyle's leaf. I'll rename it Kyle's leaf. Yeah, this is actually one of the earliest things that's been in the game. That's been in the game for maybe since 2018. Have I made an AI colony sim? No, I've never made a sim game. The closest thing I made was an RTS with like AI. Not AI, but you know what I mean, like enemy behaviors that would take their turn on their own. Oh, and I guess also like an RPG. That's technically like as complicated, right? No. I think I need to make this make sense. Make it make sense. Wow. Okay, it built. Let's see what happens. Surely, OP will deliver. Surely we will see the text box. Please. Please. No? No text box? But there are other text boxes that are Text Mesh Pro in the scene. They're sitting right there. Like that's what that is. That's a Text Mesh Pro text box. We haven't fixed the sliding. That's what we're trying to fix right now. How am I getting this wrong? Okay. I have another thing I could try. We're going to try other things. We're going to take this friction debug and we're going to paste it outside of the main character so that it's not really dependent on them and it's not getting pushed around based on their position. And we're going to attach this maybe to like the camera. Doot. And we don't need it to do this anymore. I can't see how that... I'll also just turn off debug mode and build it and run it. What do I think about coyote time? I think it's kind of necessary. I feel like if you don't have coyote time, you're going to be creating a bunch of dynamics in your game that players expect it to be there, basically. That's how I would think about it. Like, people just... They know what their intent is, and unless you're trying to make an extremely difficult platformer, and even if you are trying to make an extremely difficult platformer, respecting the player's intent that they wanted to jump as far off as possible, that tends to be more important than anything else. The way that I think about it is this, right? There are things that you want to test the player on in a difficult game, like in Dark Souls, right? Let's just say Dark Souls has a roll with iframes, okay? So then if there's a roll with iframes, it means that the game is trying to test you on your roll timing, because that's the only way to deal with a lot of these attacks. It's a mechanic that's put in the game specifically for that purpose, and so you as the player can understand, oh, the developer's trying to test me on this specific thing. Now, if there are environmental factors about the game that stop you from being able to roll, and those things are non-obvious, then what's being tested is not your decision-making power about when you should roll. Instead, what's being tested is your knowledge of the game, from your ability to like understand how the geometry in the game works, for example. This happens in Dark Souls actually quite a lot, where anything that's got platforming sections in Dark Souls sucks, because there is a fall distance cutoff, and that fall distance in the areas where you need to fall off gaps and jump on stuff, it sucks because there's no way of knowing whether on the way down you're going to clip some geometry and then reset the fall buffer or the fall distance check. And some of the geometry looks like it's ground and it's not. So what you want is to test the player on terms that they can understand, and having the player position, let's say like this gray box is like the this is the edge of a platform. Knowing whether or not they press the button here or here is probably not the thing that you want to test the player on. I mean, you can, but it becomes one of those like stacker game, things. It's like, is that the most fun thing that is that the most fun place to put the challenge of the game? Do you know what I mean? Whereas like a game like Celeste, it will test your ability to do the right inputs in the right order, in the right time, but not like frame precision, right? Frame precision is one of those things that just, it's kind of a little unfun. It's the same in Street Fighter. Street Fighter 4 has 2 frame links. So there are things that happen in the game where you need to press a button in the span of 2 frames. So the timing you have is 1/30th of a second to hit some button at the exact time. And it's just not fun because you can't learn anything to be able to do that. Whereas if you give someone 3 or 4 frames to link something, that's something that you can usually get pretty good at. So being generous with certain timing, like buffering inputs in general, I think is just a good idea. So like even in Insignia, there are times when like I can show you once the game finishes rendering. Actually, I could probably show you independently of that. I could show you it in the web version now. Localhost? That's not where I want to be. Hello? Internet? Hello? Am I still streaming? Is everything okay? What the heck? How did I get from here to there? Okay, let's try this again. Browser? Okay, you guys can see me, but I can't access the internet somehow. That's so weird. Why can't I go? Why cannot I go? There we go. Okay, so let me show you where some of these quality of life things sort of come into play. Hello? Whatever. My controller. Okay, so like if I jump and then I hit the attack button, or what's another example? Yeah, if I jump, right? I can't jump twice in the air. I can't double jump, right? That's not a thing you can do. But what I can do is press jump just before I hit the ground, and he'll jump as soon as he hits the ground, even though I pressed it before you were grounded. So I'm just able to bounce, right? Even though I'm hitting the button, like it's like hit land, hit land, hit land, hit land, hit land. That 200 milliseconds, that's an input buffer. Right? And I do that in a lot of places. So I do it on the combos as well. So if I hit the button to attack, right, that does one attack. There is a frame whereby I can press the button and do a second attack. And you can see it's when the sword is behind him, right? So when the sword is behind him, you can press the button again and he'll go into the next attack. But you can press the button before that and it'll still do it once the frame is there. So I can press it. I can press the second attack, like the second combo string hit, before the first hits even come out, and it'll still go into the second attack. So you can hear that, like tap, tap, tap. I hit the third tap, and the second hitbox wasn't even out yet. So I've got more of a generous hitbox timing on that, because the thing that I'm trying to test on you as the player is not when you press the button, it's whether you press the button. For this game, because enemies will do things like parry you or grab you, right? And your observation and your discipline to not press the button, that's the skill check, right? It's not, did you press it at this specific frame? It's, did you decide to press it or not to press it? Because you will get parried, like you will get hit. All right, we're still compiling, still getting there. Would you agree that games like Street Fighter 6 with low buffer inputs are targeting competitors' audiences? IMO fighting games in general are for an esport environment. You're saying like that Street Fighter 6 is generous and so its appeal is wider? I think that's a good thing. Because I think fighting games are a beautiful genre, and I think that there's too much wasted opportunity making those games inaccessible. So like modern controls in Street Fighter 6, I'm all for them. I don't like losing to people who are on modern controls, but I appreciate their existence. It's fine. It makes sense, man. And you know what? What I really love about Street Fighter 6 is that if you are using the classic controls, you have more opportunities to express your creativity and basically min-max the game. So they haven't like lowered the skill ceiling, they've just raised the skill floor. I'm all for that. Because these games are great. Like, why not allow more people to enjoy your game? It makes perfect sense to me. And the only way to make them good is by having there be an active player base. Because these games, you know, they come out and people play them for like 3 months and then no one plays them anymore unless you're extremely diehard. And I actually it really bothers me that that happens with Street Fighter or just fighting games in general, unless you're like Smash Brothers Melee, where you have like this ridiculously loyal audience and people will play it no matter what's happening. unless that's exactly the game that you have, there's just too much. There's just so much wasted effort if people aren't playing your game 3 months after it comes out. And I noticed, like, particularly in like Street Fighter 4 and 5, the quality of animations drops off after the first year for DLC characters because they just don't have a budget anymore because there's no player base. You know what I mean? Or at least not a big enough player base. Whereas, like, I really want games like Street Fighter to have more of like a Fortnite model, or even like for better or worse, an Overwatch model, where Overwatch was putting a lot of energy into that game years after it came out. Like the original Overwatch, you know, new heroes would have just as much personality and story and whatever as like the initial cast. And the music, that's the other thing that I was thinking about today. Like, the music of Overwatch grew just as much as the game did. You know, new events and stuff like that would have these really interesting, deep, you know, impressive compositions just for like seasonal events and stuff. Whereas, like, I think about Street Fighter and I think about how, like, right now the game's soundtrack is kind of eh. But like, there's no reason why they couldn't have someone at Capcom writing new music after the game releases, right? Like, you want that sort of almost like lifestyle game for a game that is a sport, you know? It makes perfect sense to me that you would have like an ongoing development team who is quality, right? Like, who actually are able to invest like themselves into it. Rather than like a skeleton crew that's just manning the ship. Now, what's going to happen with the coat here? I guess it's going to be facing down. But I'm not too sure, to be honest with you. This is not typically how I animate, but I'm finding that a lot of these attack frames are just better when they're more keyframe centric. Like, I just don't get as much value out of the straight ahead animation when I do it like that. Whereas doing it this way, where it's just kind of like, hey, get a keyframe out there, then get another keyframe out. That tends to be a little more, I don't know, just even for prototyping, it's a little faster. Anything that loops, I tend to do straight ahead animation, and then anything that's like a one-off, I'll typically try to do more keyframe based. What the heck is happening? Okay. Alrighty. I think these hands need to be a lot closer together. I've been doing a little bit of... man, I've actually become kind of... like... what's the word? I can feel... so, I played a lot of Street Fighter. And recently, I hit Master with Cammy. Which is the first time I've ever hit the top rank in any competitive game, actually. So, feels good. However... I don't think I want to play it anymore because it's not doing good things for my sleep. And it's very stressful to try to climb through Master. So, incidentally, at the same time, my dad recently has been like, hey, like, why don't you come play golf again for the first time in 15 years? Like, I used to play golf a little bit when I was like a junior, like in the like they call them juniors at a golf club. It's like people who are like under 16s a junior. So I was like 12, 13. And I started going back to the driving range, and I think somehow there's like a transfer of this like addiction from Street Fighter to golf. Cause like I'll wake up and I'll be like, man, I really want to just like smack some balls at the range. Like I really just want to go out there and perfect the swing. And there's like this weird mental thing about like physical execution, just like nailing down. Like Street Fighter's very, you know, it's about trying to close the gap between what you're trying to do and what your hands do. And golf is the same, weirdly, but I don't know. Yeah, solve the frame data to golf swings. Oh my god, it's still not here. How is this possible? I'm actually livid right now. How can we not get Text Mesh Pro to output? What is happening? How hard is it? Smack some balls, guys. There's nothing wrong with saying that. Nothing wrong with it. Check stripping. What does that mean? Slicing is -2 on block. Build settings somewhere bottom. I don't understand how that could be not showing. I mean, we're seeing it in other... This is the exact same Text Mesh Pro text box as what I'm trying to show in the center of the screen. It's the same thing. Why would it not be visible? No, surely not. Really? I don't think so. I don't think we're gonna like just not have content in the game. Alright, I mean, sure. Where is the stripping? What are we talking about? In the player settings or in the build settings? Build settings on the bottom. It removes shadow maps, materials, scripts. Surely not from the scenes that are active though. Right? Surely not. Let me just make sure that I'm like using the same stuff going on here. Hang on. I will check those settings. I highly doubt that would be it. How could they justify that? But we'll just do a quick check here. I mean, I'm happy to just put it in the scene if that's easier, like just at a random position in the scene. It's at 0 there, character there, world space there. I mean, it's got a canvas renderer. I don't know what else I would need to It's basically the same as this. I might as well just, you know what? I might as well just literally copy and paste this and put it there. And then just move its position to here. And say 0. Oh, hang on a second. That would be really bad if that was the problem. Try clearing the browser cache. Have you ever played Team Fortress 2? Really, Kyle? You don't think that the Overwatch characters were more relatable than the Team Fortress characters? I don't feel the same way at all. I thought Team Fortress is okay. They're fine. But Overwatch to me was like phenomenal. Like I really, really, really like the Overwatch cast. And that is so weird. That doesn't work that way. In any case, these are like the same. Hey, Tucker. Yeah, I almost feel like the Overwatch. I almost feel like Overwatch should have been a film. You know, or a series or something, like a TV series. So where is this stripping setting? Shader stripping? I mean, this should be fine. I really like Overwatch. Like, man, when that first got announced, I thought it was so impressive what they were doing with those characters. It really felt like Pixar. But like a more serious Pixar. Do you know what else we could do? If we really, really, really want, I could take this, copy this component, and paste it into like a different text mesh box that I know already works in the scene. You know? Just like turn that off. I mean, I'm kind of already doing that, but I could take, well, how do I put this? Well, what have we got? We've got a canvas renderer. That's all there is. We can copy the components. We can paste them into here. Like, what other things could we be? Paste component values. It's basically all it is. We certainly got the matching builder version. I'm literally just building locally, right from build and run. Are the render modes for the canvas is set to world space? Yeah. Yeah. It's weird because it works. This is the problem we've been running into for the last 2 days, which is that like something will work in the editor and then you take it to WebGL, it doesn't work. It's like, well, I can't test it unless I'm, building the project every single time. Super annoying. Like, how do I know what's going to fail and what's going to pass? There's just no way of knowing. It just decides one day, like, no, this is different. We'll run this differently. Not much you can do about it. Why can't I tell the future? I ask myself that question every single day. And the future me doesn't say anything. So maybe I piss myself off in the future. And he's no longer on speaking terms with past me. But when you say not packaging, right, what we're describing is literally like it's the scene. Because it's not like it's a separate asset. It's just Text Mesh Pro, right? Still nothing. There's got to be I must be doing something wrong. How is this happening this way? Yeah, I started with the legacy text and it wouldn't show up. Can I just... I'm just going to try one thing here. Alligator. Let's just do this. Just to make sure I'm not crazy. If we can see the alligator... Hello. Where are you going? Oh, yeah. Well, I'll miss you. Tell me how it goes when you get back. Okay. So... I mean, that all works. This will tell us, if we build and run this, if the alligator doesn't appear, then what can we do? Is there any text in the object in the first place? I mean... It should be fine. It should be fine, you guys. I don't know why it's doing this. Hey, Floradaby, welcome. How's it doing? I've never had this problem before, where it just seemingly things just don't work anymore. Usually I'm able to say, oh, this is not working because of this thing. I don't even know what's going on right now. I can't even tell you. Isaac, we are not publishing to itch when we do this. This is a local build that's at localhost being generated when I hit the button from the engine. If it's not able to take the scene and play it in the browser, okay, well, what the heck? Oh, do you know what? Maybe there is no text. Maybe the text is there, but there's no, the function's not being run, so we're not getting any output. Ah, hang on a second. Hang on a second. Let's output something. I'm such a doofus though. What am I doing? There we go. Let's output something. If wait a second. But then how come what is the contents? If it's not null or empty, but I can't see it. What? Maybe hot reload didn't catch it. What? Is hot reload working? Yes. I'm logging it. Oh, but it's not logging it because it's null? Oh my gosh. This is the definition of shaving the yak. That's what we're doing right now. Why can't I see the log? Why is nothing happening? This is calling this every single frame. Is that not how that works? No, that's how you do it. Well, we don't have access to the debugger right now. You know what? I'm just gonna like force recompile and just see if that does something. Hot reload might have just been betraying us. Put a log where you're calling it. A log where I'm calling the log? I am returning a string. That's what it's doing. Are my logs collapsed in the debug? No, I don't think so. I don't trust it. I don't trust it. Yeah, there we go. Now it's working. Okay, and so that's nothing. No friction. Okay, it actually compiled this time. So now I should be able to build and run that. Oh my god. I can't believe it. Can't believe it. Okay, so as I was saying, this frame's looking pretty good. Maybe we should finish it off. I'm not sure what to do about that. Yeah, now we can try diagnosing the bug. Let's close this. Player other settings. Hey, Internetito. I would be so astounded if that was the case, if that fixed it. But I'll take your word for it, just in case. If it still doesn't work, I will definitely do that. Yeah, all of that is so that I can debug the slipping issue. That's literally everything we've been doing today has been in service of yesterday's bug. Isn't that infuriating? Isn't that so annoying? You have to be patient to be a game developer, I tell you what. It's still building it. No, I think it needs to go. this way. How do you handle spriting the different weapons in the game? Yeah, at the moment, I've got one. Did I use Unity 2019? Yeah, I've been using it since Unity 4.7, I think. I have one generic weapon so far. And there are other animation sets for different weapon types. So there is a dagger animation set, and there is a sword animation set. I may eventually split them out into animations and then the sword animations that sit over them, like a separate sprite that sits on top. Yay! So it's literally not running the friction test. Can you believe that? It's literally not running it whatsoever. It can't be. We're not seeing any values, which is obviously why that's happening. The script is just not operating. Hey, Warner. How is this possible? Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Okay, we're going to try the stripping thing. That would be absolutely insane to me. I could not believe it. So where are we going? Player settings, and then here? Or is it somewhere else? I'll turn it off. I'll turn it off, but you have to remind me where it is. Right there. Other settings. Strip engine code. Okay, I turned it off. The idea that Unity, you didn't hit apply. Okay. Sorry, I didn't realize I had to. Was there an apply? I don't think there is an apply. Did you just troll me? There is no apply. Stripping settings. I must be so blind, man. I must be so blind. I still can't see it. Here, strip engine code off. There is apply, but it's okay. If you press Control S, it'll just do it. Okay, build and run. How is that? Can someone explain to me? What is that supposed to be doing? What is its job supposed to be, the stripping? Like, what is the objective for that? Like, what is the feature? How can it just remove scripts from the game? Yeah, but what is it? What is the feature of stripping? Is it unwanted scripts? Supposed to take out code that your game isn't using, but engine code only. But how can it be removing just like a random script that I've got in the game? World squid. Yeah, but like how does it know what's unused? If this is like a script that lives in like the behavior state tree of like my main character. So how can that possibly be that it would remove that? Hey Rick, welcome. Thank you so much. Anyway, if you're right, NOA3, I will bask in your radiance. Because what we're describing, the thing that we're talking about right now, right, is it's on fixed update. Right, this fixed update. Well, it's actually called late fixed update. This late fixed update is where this stuff is happening. And this is something that is it's event based. So I created what's called late fixed update because I wanted something to happen. I wanted to be able to do fixed update stuff that was at the end. So this is running off of this thing called late fixed update handler. I guess because it's a singleton, it may not ever get called, but it's a mono behavior and it lives in the scene. So I don't see how does this singleton event caller This is where you had that error message that you fixed by full reloading, the subscription. How do we sign up to play this alpha? Right now you don't have to sign up, but there will be a sign up process. Well, there is, we are planning to have patron tiers get initial access to the alpha, and then it will be lower tiers of subscribers on Twitch, members on YouTube, etc. And then it'll be everyone eventually, I think. But for now, it's not polished enough to be exclusive. So you can kind of just playtest it now if you want. That was where you had that error message you fixed by full reloading the subscription or add listener. So we are thinking of animation respread stuff is called pixel animation reinvented. It's actually very cool. Okay. Currently I am streaming on YouTube also. You can clean up the cache. Yeah, I mean it could be that it's the thing is every build of this, whether it's the CI/CD build or the local build, has not been able to run fixed late update or late fixed update, which means that that singleton is being ignored all the time for every web build. Is there a Discord? There is. Yeah. Go check the Discord. That's where you'll get updates on alpha access as well. So, I don't know, man. Who knows? Unity doesn't like if you make a build in an already filled folder. Yeah, but this is like a raw from scratch build. I think on GitHub Actions. Anyway, I might be wrong. I mean, obviously I'm I'm missing something here. That's the thing. Like I'm prepared to admit that I don't know what's happening. Something's going wrong. That's not a bad start. Okay. Make me talk in an accent. Bogan. Man, I don't know if I can talk in a Bogan accent. Bloody oh. For like the next 5 minutes, you got to listen to me talk like this. He's even impressed, mate? He's even want to hear that? Hey, Keeper Skip. How you doing? Bloody... I'm sitting here trying to make my game work. And I'm just trying to get the bloody web version to run the same as the editor version. Some dumb reason. It's not even working.